This is The Mediocre Black Woman, the space where we stop shrinking and start taking up every inch of the room we deserve, where we laugh, we joke, we cry, we grow, and we take a digital deep sigh. I'm Goddess Theodora, a woman who's been laid off, burnt out, underestimated, and still refuses to fold. Y'all, they can't keep me down. I've weathered storms, shed identities, and learned to demand more than the bare minimum. This is for Black women reclaiming our voices, our time, and our energy, for the ones who walked away from situations that no longer serve us, and for those still plotting our escape. Sometimes it's ranting, sometimes it's raw healing, sometimes it's a girl, let me tell you. But it's always ours, unfiltered, unapologetic, and a reminder that no system and no circumstance will break our souls. I'm so happy you decided to come back. Do me a favor and support the show by leaving us a review, sharing this episode, subscribing to us from wherever you are listening. And if you are on Substack, leave us a comment, because if you talk to me, I talk back. Okay, now let's get into today's episode. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. And today I'm here with my sister friend Keisha. She is a licensed and trained therapist, and she's been a coach for years and has amazing and incredible women's programs. You all can tell that the bio is a little bit loose here, and the reason why is because we were in the midst of hosting our connection call where we actually planned the episode, and then Spirit was like, record now. As she started talking, they were like, record now. And I was like, Keisha, we need to move over to Podcastle and we need to go record this episode now. So this is not really planned, and she's a good sport going with the flow with me. So here we are. Hey, sister girl Keisha, can you introduce yourself properly for everyone that is here?
Absolutely. So my name is Keisha Makiba Bowers. I am many things. I'm a mother. I'm a wife right now. I have a master's degree in social work. I have all of the stuff. I could go through the list. However, I'm definitely in my own healing era. 2025 has found me in much of transition space and healing space and change and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and that is exactly why you're here today. That's exactly why you're here today, because we've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks with the Mediocre Black Woman about being in transitions. You know, we've had people talk to us about changing our mindset, about how we ground, about how we cast out what we actually want, how we, keep folks from poking holes in our vision when we know God is the one that gave us the vision, right? And so Keisha, let's start with your story. We talked about, your own limiting beliefs. The first thing that you were starting to say, and then I was like, we need to record. You said, I have a lot of limiting beliefs. So let's go back and
I
start there.
I acknowledge and recognize that perfectionism has been my drug of choice.
Okay.
I'm going to say it again. Perfectionism has been my drug of choice. I have a heavy shame wound because I'm a survivor of sexual trauma. So a mantra that I've been saying a lot lately is that I have nothing to be ashamed of. And what the shame wound, if I cry, it's okay. Y'all could
It's
cry.
okay. This is who we are. We're just everywhere.
I realized that I have a heavy gifting
Mm-hmm.
that I came into the world to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And the shame wound has been my battle. And how I have been fighting shame is through perfectionism and wanting to be good and be right. But it is not allowing me to be authentic.
Mm. How do you feel
And
the perfectionism has do you feel like the perfectionism has kept you safe?
it's been safety for me. It's been safety. And what I realize is I do just enough to prove to my ego that I can be enough. But I don't do what and who I am.
Mm.
I do just enough of who I think I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to feel safe, but I don't do what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being called to challenge that part of myself in a loving and nurturing way. And the way the challenge has shown up is through failure and loss.
Mm.
So the very thing that I've been running away from, I've been forced to confront.
Mm.
So a little bit about a background. I'm gonna start with now, and then we could go back,
Okay.
right? Because I got 47 years on me. But I moved to Africa in 2023 with my husband of 11 years, together for 21 years. We moved to Africa with our two younger children, and our adult child was in college. And I was like forcing this thing because I spent my entire life believing that this is what I have to do to find ultimate happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That if I do this one thing, then everything in my life is going to be fixed and I'm going to be so happy and I'm going to be better than anyone who ever made me feel bad. And then I do the one thing and everything was worse.
Mm.
Everything was like my whole life fell apart in that experience. And so it was like I needed to go to Africa for 2 years because I was able to face the exact thing that I've been running away from. So
Yeah.
it was just buried. It was just buried. And then I realized that much of the construct of my life was created by this need to feel safe and protected. And I was willing to attach to anyone and anything that, even if it was an illusion of safety, I was
Mm.
comfortable with being attached to it. And I am at a place right now where that no longer feels good,
Yeah.
I recently reapplied for my license because I came back to the States, and the safe thing is you need to get a job and you need to start making some money for yourself and you need to recoup what you lost from going to Africa and the money and the things that your husband guided and the money that was lost in that and all of this. You got to get it all back. And the first thing that is logical is you got to go back and get your license and you got to get a job and you got to try to make some money. And I have been walking through muddy quicksand in trying to get my license because something keeps telling me, what are you doing?
Hmm. Okay, wait a minute. I find this to be interesting because when we spoke on the phone yesterday, I asked you, I was like, don't you have more freedom by being a coach instead of like, using your license there? This is so interesting. So you've been thinking
And
about
that's
this.
why I never got it because I knew that once you decide to get your license and people could call and they could report you and then your style of work, you have to be more in line with something and you have to fit something, and you have to and I have never been someone that fits in anything.
Mm-mm, no.
I don't fit in anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't feel like I'm enough without the license. And so I
Mm.
think I need to get it. But honey, I applied, paid the money. Then the people wrote me back and said, you got to do a background screening and you got to enter this portal. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I try to get in the portal. And there, I have just been facing so much within myself.
Oh
And I
my
have a
gosh.
phenomenal coaching program. Like what I've built and created, and the women I've served, the communities I've served, how I show up. Someone hires me to do something, and I show up so perfectly, and I'm so authentic, and everything is so beautiful. And there's just this thing inside of me that's like, well, why don't you just do that for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you
Mm-hmm.
need someone else to endorse and validate you?
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because that is the thing that we go through a lot of times as Black women of like needing. So here's the thing. I'll say this. I had this come up for me in a reading before where they were like, sometimes you're going to struggle because there's things at your age range that people don't understand how you can know or even understand. And we have all these gifts, we have all these skills, this like inner knowing. And yet, and still, because of the world that we live in, we feel like we need to have, these credentials or these things to back us up. Doesn't mean we don't need to have some knowledge to help folks, but like, we don't necessarily need to be endorsed by an institution in order to be able to help and serve, right?
I read a post recently, and I can't remember who, if it was one of the Maori sisters, because they've been talking about, fight that women of color that we go through.
Yeah.
And it was talking about like we are so tired getting another degree.
Yes.
We are so tired getting another degree. And there I was reading it and setting up a consultation for my doctorate.
Girl,
Like
no.
I was literally, when I was looking at that article or post or whatever it was, I was literally in another stream setting up a call for a consultation for my doctorate in spiritual psychology.
This is so interesting. We have a lot of things in alignment. So like before the whole layoff thing happened, right? A few weeks or no, maybe like a month before that, I was telling my friends, maybe like go back to school and like get a degree in divination and African American studies. And I'm like, girl, you don't need that. The reason why is like sometimes I'll see things on TV and I'll be like, and I'll pull on the like thread of that. And then I'll be like, oh, let me figure out how to make a reading list for it. I don't need to necessarily go back to school to like do it, but it's just so funny. Like that's the first thought. Well, let's go back to school
Yeah.
when we can make all this stuff like on our own in a lot of ways, or within community, we're with resourcing.
And I have been in spaces and with people who have done that, that are making 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 a year. And it's not about money per se, but abundance is actually a sure sign that you're in alignment with flow, right?
Exactly.
So when you meet someone and they're like, yeah, I just brought in $30,000 this year, this month. And I'm just like, and you don't have a degree and you don't, there I go wanting to project my own issues around misogyny and perfectionism and all this stuff onto the person, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
you made $20,000 this month and you don't have a degree. Yeah, but what you have is confidence, belief
Mm-hmm.
in yourself, and understanding that you have the right, you have the internal permission.
Mm-hmm.
That part.
Mm-hmm. I wish you
So
guys could see our faces because that pause, the way that we just looked at each other, I wish you guys could have seen that. Oh,
I'm
Keisha.
definitely at a place where I'm giving myself the internal permission
Mm-hmm.
to thrive.
Yes.
And you know, what I thought my life was gonna be, all of that just got toppled down. I feel like Godzilla just came and crushed on it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I really literally don't know. Being a mother of three with an adult child and the youngest 12, I thought, oh, I'm approaching 50 and I should have my house and I should have this and I should have all that and this, that, and all these things. And I'm literally at a place where I don't, and I also don't know what's
Mm.
next.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I love this space of not knowing what's next because that means that anything is possible when you're not attached to it.
Endless, endless, endless possibilities.
So, how are you keeping yourself grounded during this time of like, I mean, I know you went on and applied for your license, and looked up your doctorate consultant, but is there anything else that you're doing besides those things to like ground, during this
So
time?
definitely listening to whatever I'm hearing because I'm so used to like, because if you're trying to be perfect, if you get something that's not in alignment with perfection, you're not gonna do it, right? But
Mm,
I've actually been listening and like taking heed, right?
yeah.
So like if I feel like I should fast for a day, I fast for a day.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like I should move my body more, I go to the gym. I take my dance
Nice.
classes. I have not been to a church in over 35 years, but I was in my neighborhood. I recently came into a temporary space that's like in a like a neighborhood, a hood.
Oh, I love
And so
that.
they're like churches
Everywhere.
like everywhere at black
Mhm.
churches. And I went to this health fair. Spirit was like, go to find what's going on in your community. And I went on Eventbrite and I went to this health fair. Unbeknownst to me, it was hosted by a church.
Wow.
And the ladies there were so kind and they were like, why don't you come to service with us tomorrow? And I went right into the church service.
Oh, you
And
did?
I went right to church. It was a
Nice.
black church. It took me back to my childhood. And
Mm,
I started that church. And from the moment I walked in until I walked out, I cried.
mm.
It was so beautiful. It was so cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to church. I've also engaged in my other spiritual practices, going to the ocean and sitting down and listening
Mm-hmm.
and being my offering and, sitting with my ancestors and listening and paying attention to my dreams because I am definitely, I get a lot of information through dreams and oh my God, I'm talking to you and you're not going to believe this.
What?
I just got an email that I just got approved for my license.
Well, look at that. Well, look, I was wondering what that was. Look at that. So, okay, wait a minute. Let's sit with that for a second.
What is that? I am like, you don't even understand. You don't even understand. Like, I don't even know what to say to you right now. Thea. There's something going on with Thea, y'all. Y'all gonna tap into her podcast and listen carefully. Cause she has some kind of stuff going on over there. I'm like, I don't know. Listen, that is really wild. That spirit told I'm gonna cry, but that is wild. That spirit told you to record this. And at the same time, I'm actually going to send you this email because you have to read it.
Okay.
That's wild. I don't know. I don't know, Thea. Especially with our connection. I don't know if folks know how we got connected and the
Oh,
moment we
we should
shared,
tell
but
them, huh? Do you want to share?
oh my God. Please, Claire. I just told someone yesterday that I did mushrooms and that's something I would never do, but I did it with one person who was like a spirit sister that was supposed to be a stranger, but she wasn't. And someone who was a real spirit sister I've known for a while, and she's not a stranger. We've held space in Africa together and everything. And it was just so magical. I was just talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's how Keisha and I met, y'all. We did a mushroom ceremony, but in a spiritual context. It's different than doing mushrooms recreationally. But we were able to sit with each other. Keisha was so scared, y'all. She was like, yeah, am I gonna?
Alone, beyond scared. I was interrupting Thea's whole session. I had no like, oh my God, Thea. I'm sorry. I gotta tell you my license number. It's 22221.
Wow,
I'm a legitimate licensed therapist now. It's so funny when you said it in the beginning in my intro. I'm like, but I'm not licensed in my head.
I must have
Meanwhile, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all listen to her that carefully. When you introduced me and you're like, she's a licensed therapist, and I was like, I'm not. I'm gonna have to
Well,
correct
and I
the
remember
audience.
you telling me that you, and I don't know, but I still said it. I remember you telling me yesterday, you were like, oh, I'm waiting for it to come
I'm
through.
fully
And I
licensed.
still said it anyway. So I don't
I'll
know.
be published everywhere. It's ISW 22221.
22221. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. We'll talk about it afterwards too, because I have some other
Yeah,
thoughts. But I don't know. Just set with that later on, because it just
yeah.
you have it now, but like, oh, okay, because this is the struggle, right? You said that like having that makes you feel right
Okay.
more safe and more like I don't want to say valid, but more valid in the work that you're doing. And I mean, I guess my question is because I don't know, do you have to use your license just because you have
What
it?
is that going to change, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the magic of this conversation that we're having. We think we have to get this thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is really inside.
Exactly.
It's not the thing. I just got it on this call.
Mm-hmm.
That should feel like somebody told me I have $1 million.
Mm.
And that's not what I feel because the thing is inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need that thing. That's very conditional. I don't need that thing to activate, and I don't need to use my license, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need that thing to activate
Mm.
what is gifted in me,
Mm-hmm.
what's already here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
So I feel you. You're right. Like, that's not it. I just think it's crazy that the thing came through while I'm
I do
talking to
too.
you.
They were like,
I don't
hello.
believe coincidences. Here I am, by the way, since you're talking about me.
Oh my God. Look at that.
The Florida Department of Health. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So You'll sit with that later on, and we'll touch
I'm
back on
going
that.
to.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
I know the audience feels like they're eavesdropping on our conversation because we went to a whole other world. Sorry, y'all. We're here. We're still here.
We're here. We're here. We're here. So
Okay.
yeah. So definitely, um, if I ever doubted anything, that is even also confirmation that whatever I visualize and imagine, I can create.
Yeah.
And I'm a man of it, like I manifest out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so what is it? What is it? And what it is, I've been listening to Dr. Perry and Oprah Winfrey's book, What Happened to You. And I
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend anyone who has survived any kind of trauma. And I'm really big in my platform. I teach about trauma. And trauma is not always that you saw someone get killed by a gun or you were raped. Trauma is sometimes being humiliated, degraded, covert abuse, someone um that type of abuse where you don't even have the words. You try to explain to someone and the person is so nice, the person is so amazing to others that when you tell what you're experiencing, it's like you sound crazy. That is abusive. That causes damage to the brain. And we have to account for everything. So there's someone who's listening today who thinks that they are the problem, but it is what happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
We always got to get back to the core of that. And that's why we have to be gentle and compassionate and just take our time. We have to take our time. There's no race. There's no, and that's why I say comparison is a thief of joy because with social media and these benchmark things that come up, because I'm 47, I thought I was supposed to have this house and properties and whatever the things were that I thought I was telling my daughter that I thought I was going to be like Bill Cosby in the Huxtables and have my practice at the bottom of my, um, you know, my home. I'm from New York and I grew up in a neighborhood where a lot of dentists and doctors and psychologists and therapists practice in their house. I'm from the suburb in White Plains. And so I grew up as a little girl in my neighborhood thinking, that's going to be me one day.
Mm.
That's gonna be me one day. I'm gonna have, so when your life is not manifesting in a certain way, but it's your gifting. It's your gifting that is the sum. It's what you came here to leave
Mm-hmm.
that really matters.
It is. So, hmm. Do you feel like like, we talked about, what you saw for yourself. Do you feel like you're starting to see what could be for yourself or like see it in a different way forward? Like, what are you starting
Um,
to visualize?
I see it in a different way forward because what I saw for myself, I didn't live a life that was in alignment with that. I
Mm.
attracted abusers. I stayed in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
So how could I see one thing and desire and experience something else? They
Mm-hmm.
weren't in alignment. So what I really see for myself is softer days,
Mm-hmm.
more rest, more authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
um, freedom to say exactly how I feel and not be afraid, freedom to be true to myself and not try to please. So I was starting our conversation saying, like, my role as a mother, I'm a people pleaser. My trauma told me to be safe, you do the right thing, you show up perfectly, and you make sure everyone is happy. You manage other people's feelings. And the word that we have for that is codependency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a recovering codependent. Like my addiction, my drug of choice was perfectionism and people. I
I guess so. This is something that came to my mind earlier when you said perfectionism, and I guess this is my always been my question about perfectionism. Like, what is perfect? And the reason why
okay.
I'm saying that is because it's like my definition of perfect versus your definition of perfect
Mhm.
versus my sister's or my friend's definition of like, what is perfect? What is perfection?
It's the image, it's just an illusion. Anything that can be perfect. That's why art is in the beauty of art is in the eye of the beholder. There is
Mhm.
no perfect. But we grew up in environments where for me, my perfectionism came from being in a hypercritical environment. Nothing I did was good enough.
Mhm.
So of course you think there's a thing that you should attain.
Mhm.
And in your mind, that thing makes you perfect
Mm,
because the
mhm.
person that you're trying to please would not have complained if what you did was perfect.
This is true. This is why they called me the good wife while I was married, because I was always trying to attain this. It was not perfect to me, but it was trying to attain what the good wife was to them.
Mhm. You were called a good wife. Wow.
Yeah, and do you remember that back in the day there was a show?
Mhm.
The main character was Alicia Florrick, and the show was called The Good Wife, and so it was kind of around that time that I was married, and yeah, they used to call me the good wife. My ex-husband and his brothers, and like that's what they used to call me. And then when we would show up to places, they would all introduce me as their wife. So yeah, it just wasn't. It was not it. But I was trying to live up to this like weird standard. And as soon as I gave up trying to do that, that's when all hell broke loose.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's actually where I am right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
Like I don't think I was ever called a good wife, but I did what made my husband comfortable and safe because he
Mhm.
was more important than me,
Mhm.
right? Him and the children came before me all the time. Um, even if I was thinking about an experience that I had in my marriage where I held my ground for like a day
Mhm.
and then I acted like nothing happened.
Mhm.
And it was such a tragic experience. And I thought, that's how I've been coping through my life, pretending,
Mhm. Mhm.
pretending. And pretending made me show up in a way that made him feel good
Mhm.
until I stopped pretending.
Yeah. And then it's
And
like, meet the real Keisha. And that's the no, because that's what's happening.
you should hear me. I say crazy stuff like I dyed my hair red because I'm the devil. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. I said I
Keisha.
might as well fit the role. I might as well fit the roles now. And it's funny because it's thematic that I'm the villain. Like, oh, my in-laws don't like me. The this don't, like I've been the villain. I just felt pain from that. So I tried to do stuff to clean it up. So now I'm just gonna be the villain. I'm not gonna,
Mhm.
there's no pain, there's no cover up, it's okay. Whatever someone believes to be true about me,
It's their business
I'm
anyway. Shit.
it's none of my business. It's their business. Like I'm okay with that, you
Yeah.
know? And so like you said, the possibilities feel so endless.
Mhm. I love this
It's just
era for
feel
you.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other day I did a Reiki healing. I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I did a Reiki healing circle type ceremony in water for this healing sanctuary here in South Florida.
Wow.
They hired me and I went, and when I went to the space, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is how I've always envisioned myself having my own healing space." And I said, "I'm going to do this Reiki and I'm going to pretend that this is my place."
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna just visualize my way into the life that I imagine for myself. And so I if I as many opportunities that I can create that brings me closer to that manifestation, I'm open to receiving that.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Okay. All right. I love that. I love all of this. Like, because that is one of the hardest things. I don't think people realize, like, when you're trying to make shifts or you're trying to make changes, there are going to be people who feel slighted by you because
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
not showing up in a way that oftentimes serves them anymore. And sometimes didn't even really serve them, because what does it serve your in laws to not like you? It doesn't serve anybody for that. But it just, you not showing up in a way that's serving others anymore in the same way, or like that's not serving you at all. Some people are going to be really offended by that. And yeah, that was the hardest challenge out of being separated and then divorced, was like What are people going to say? You know,
Mm,
what are they going to tell people that happened? And like, all these things. And, I know what part I played. He knows what part he played. And that's the truth. And that's it. So I had to be okay with, just letting people say whatever the hell they want to say about me. And that's that. But am I happy with me now that I've made certain moves? And that's the biggest thing.
that's where I visualize myself. And so being in this in-between space and especially in my marriage,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it feels like some kind of imposter thing. Like,
Mm.
the Nutty Professor, when he's
Yes.
going from being Billy to
Yeah.
Billy Love to being,
Yeah.
like
Buddy love. Uh-huh.
sometimes I feel like I'm Buddy Love. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of like the part of me that is like really me is like trying to just be fully out, but then I gotta go back
Put it back in.
into yeah, I gotta put it back in type thing. But I'm in an in between space, so I'm not gonna be too hard on myself.
That's good. I mean, you shouldn't be. Like, I feel like one thing that if we could all just accept the fact that we're not perfect, we're
Mhm.
going to put our feet in our mouths from time to time. There was an episode a few weeks ago where I told y'all, oops, I said my mind was moving faster than my mouth could, and I said the wrong things. And I went back and corrected myself. I went back and recovered. Like we can recover. We can, when we
That's
really feel
good.
bad. But
Mhm, mhm.
you're gonna make mistakes. So I think if we could all get that into our minds, like we would be better off. We're gonna make mistakes. That's just
Yeah.
we're humans. We're trying our best, but we're gonna make mistakes.
And my daughter, she's 22, and we were having this heart to heart, and I was like, sometimes I just feel like I've been failing my way through life. And she looked over at me and she said, "Mom, you've never done this before."
Mm,
She's like, "You probably came here before, but you don't remember that. You
that
don't know what's next." She said, "You've never done this. So that's not really failing. You're just moving through life." My
mm.
22-year-old said that.
Listen, 22-year-old. There's that number two again, but
I know. What are we gonna do? Mhm.
your 22-year-old got some wisdom on her. Wow. She said, "You've never done this before." That's beautiful.
Yeah, she did.
That is so beautiful. You've never done this before. Oh my God, y'all.
Mhm.
You know what? Who was I telling this to? I forget. I was having some phone conversation and I was like, honestly, I feel like all of us adults are just pretending to be adults.
You said
Like,
that to me. I
okay.
agree with you.
Was it?
Yes, you did.
Okay, it was you. I was like,
You
I feel like
did.
we're all pretending to be adults. I don't really feel like we have no idea. I'm winging it day by day, and just trusting that it's the best way forward.
We don't know. We don't know. Okay, so I sent you a text just now, and
Okay.
that's for later.
Okay. Now I'm
I
curious
said
and I want to
you.
look at my
I said
phone.
you and Jonathan, but the numbers behind it are also wild.
Okay, I believe you.
My birthday, yeah, all three. When I looked, I'm like, PDF document was 777. Okay, something's going on with it today. I don't know what's happening.
We opening some things up here at the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. Ew.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Space is really powerful.
Well, so let's talk about how we can support Keisha here at the Mediocre Black Woman. You have a master class that you were telling me about. So I want you to tell them, and we're going to have that in the show notes here, y'all. But we also have it in the blog post that we've written for Black Friday about Keisha as well.
Okay. So, I am creating, well, actually, I have curated this masterclass that also leads to my program, and it is called Healing the Inner Child from Pain to Purpose. This particular masterclass is going to be about healing the inner child and the mother wound. What's happening with women of color is we're struggling with relationships, interpersonal relationships with other women, and we don't know why. We don't realize that some women that I've worked with don't even acknowledge that they have a mother wound until they come to work with me
Mm,
because we're so conditioned because of cognitive dissonance to see goodness in people who have harmed us, especially people who come with titles. So
yes.
mother, father, we grew up thinking how dare you think they were trying to abuse you? They
Yeah.
were just having a bad day, several bad days. That's why she called me a bitch. She was having a bad day,
Yeah.
right? But then we become women and we try to build relationships even with ourselves and we're struggling and we don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
So, healing the inner child in the mother wound is a space where you're going to learn why, you're going to learn what happened to you, and you're going to learn some steps on how to start your own healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
And if it resonates with you, I'm going to be launching my program that I've served, I think, about 400 women already in this program, which is an 8 session, 4 week series
Mm-hmm.
class, um, healing the inner child.
Yeah.
So the master class, it's a free master class actually. I offer for free through Zoom. You register. I will share that information with Thea. And the objective is to get as many women to get into their flow. But when we have these emotional blockages, it's hard for us to flow,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2020, when I created this, it was in the height of the pandemic, and women were just flocking me because that silence and that space that we had being inside for so long allowed people to what happened to me when I went to Ghana all over again. It allowed you to really sit with your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have become a facilitator of pain.
Mm.
Like absolutely get it. People feel safe walking through their pain with me, but that's because I've been walking through my own pain with myself, and I fully understand and acknowledge what surrender looks like, what loving compassion looks like, and what taking time looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. And one of our friends, one of our mutuals, she told me about her experience in the course, and she said that it was life changing. It's impactful, and so many women have said that about your course. So we will have all of the details in the notes for everybody in our Black Friday blog post. You guys want to make sure you check that out. And Keisha, I just want to thank you for your vulnerability, for sharing your time with us, your energy with us today. And you're welcome back anytime, girl. Sis, that's all for this week. Please be sure to leave us a review and make sure you share this with your bestie and tell them to share it with their bestie too. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye.